Hey BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Lyric Corner, and time for another tag. So this time I'm going to do the mid-year check-in tag. It is already July as I'm filming this, but right away, as soon as like the first week of July happened, I had family coming into town, so I didn't really get a chance to film a video, and I'm still very apprehensive that this is gonna give me trouble. I won't be able to upload. So I'm kind of trying to be a little less like active with my video making and just make them every once in a while. You know, So this is the mid-year check-in tag. It's similar to the mid-year freakout tag, except for it's more like, the questions are a little less, they're more just, letting you guys know how the reading is going without there being some kind of expectations. Like putting pressure on yourself to read. You have to read the questions are kind of like, what do you have to do by the end of the year, and how many books, just focusing more on putting pressures that you have to get these books read and done. While this one is more just kind of updating people on how your reading is going. And I think some people prefer this tag. I'm gonna do, every year I would like to do both tags. I think they're both interesting. So they're similar questions, but not exactly the same. Okay, so question number 1. How many books have you read so far this year? And now, if you follow me on Goodreads, it says more. It's like in the 40s, like 46 or something. But on Storygraph, it's actually 36 books. And that's because on Goodreads, I count the DNFs are counted to my goal. While Storygraph allows you to put, to pick the did not finish for putting your books, instead of like just feeling like I have to mark them on my list. I mean, I guess on Goodreads I could just delete those books, but I just don't. Some of them, like, especially if I get kind of far in the book, then But like I said, on Storygraph it's a little different, So, because you can actually make a separate shelf that is the did not finish shelf. Okay, so I actually do not have an answer for question number 2. Let me look at what's your new favorite book so far this year? Because this is kind of a hard one. I'm trying to think. I really had fun with Treasure Island. I liked, what is it? I was very excited. I like, the Bartemius trilogy, the first 2 books. I've read both of those. Amulet of Samarkand, both those were really fun. The Amulet of Samarkand and then the Golem's Eye. Those were really fun and really thrilling little middle grade adventures. I'm looking at my bookshelves right now. I'm happy to report that I finished Bleak House in middle of March, and then the third. What was the third? There's one more that I had finished. I was relieved that I finished it finally after. I will be really relieved, actually, I will have mixed feelings of relief and feelings of I can't believe I finished it. Not in a oh my god I can't believe I finished it, but more in a what do I do now kind of way, and that's the Count of Monte Cristo, which that's another one I need to finish, but that's not the one. Obviously, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm looking at my book. I really love Needful Things. I thought that was great. That's another Stephen King book. Let's see. Again, I'm looking at my shelf because I'm trying to see which books I finished. I can't think of the other one. But Valor. I finished that one. I really enjoyed that one. So it's hard for me to pick a favorite. I mean, maybe if I looked at my Goodreads or Storygraph, I could think of one. I could pick one, but that's just like picking your favorite child, which apparently sometimes grandparents do that. Because a lot of the parents from the older generation, big favorites, and I'm like, to me that doesn't. I don't get that. Why do you pick a favorite child? I mean, you shouldn't. You shouldn't not just It's kind of silly, but apparently people do. Oh, I really like Gardens of the Moon. I thought that was awesome. That was great. That was I couldn't explain the plot of that one, or really discuss it. I would have to watch some videos where people discuss the book, but I didn't really love that one. I still go with, I'm just gonna go with that one, Gardens of the Moon. That was really cool, and it was also kind of special because it was so different from what I'm used to in fantasy. It's kind of lean more towards war fantasy and military fantasy. So I really enjoyed that one. I felt very proud of myself that I read it and finished it. And also I enjoyed my rereads of Rebecca and Emma. That was really fun. So let's just go with Gardens of the Moon, by Steven Erikson as my favorite. Okay, so question number 3, the disappointments. One of the disappointments I think I already got rid of. I already donated. And that is Naomi Novak's A Deadly Education. I did not like the writing style. It was very info-dumpy. The main character drove me insane. I could not stand her. She was always complaining and always like, I don't want your help, I don't like you. I mean, and somehow she's more annoying and I guess that's because we were in her head constantly, and her angriness and attitude kind of annoyed me more than, which I'm not finished with I'm finally reading Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, and I'm really enjoying it, and somehow Spencer's not as annoying as her. As the main character in A Deadly Education. I mean, like I said, it did not help that the writing style is very info-dumpy. And I know also there are some controversial things about that book. Like, there's the whole dreadlocks thing that makes people, which I get it. The way it comes off as a little, disrespectful and insulting. And just for the record, she does apologize and I'm, I don't know for sure, but I think she does. In her next book in this series, she's going to intend to make up for that and not include that kind of stuff because, she now knows it's wrong. And that's ignorance. It's not like she did it spitefully or anything. But that, I'm not going to go into that anymore. That's all I'm going to say on that. I did not like the world building in that one. And I did not like the writing in that one. And I was disappointed because I so far loved Naomi Novak. I even like Spinning Silver, which, yes, it is in the donation pile right now. I might take it out of there and reread it again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But even I like that one more than A Deadly Education. And then the other one that I actually can show you that I still have is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Now, the first time I heard of Jules Verne was in the sci-fi trilogy Back to the Future. The Dr. Emmett Brown is a huge Jules Verne fanboy. He even names his 2 sons that he has at the end of the trilogy. He names them Jules and Verne, which I kind of feel bad for the kid that has the first name, his son that has the name Jules, because it sounds like a girl name. But although it is French, so So I don't know, maybe in France the name Jules is considered a girl's name, is considered, not a girl's name, considered a boy's name. Or maybe back then it was, but either way, we're not talking about the name of the author. I was expecting this to be more action-packed and exciting. I still have not watched the Disney movie adaptation. I do want to watch it. I've been meaning to, but I just haven't got around to it yet. Instead, I watch old favorites continuously. Like, I'm watching Angel, the TV series. And especially because last time I started to binge watch it, I didn't get past an episode of season 3, so I'm trying to get past that episode and watch the whole thing. Which I don't know, it doesn't know, which is weird because I love the show, it's just, it's a little different from Buffy. But anyway, and then watching also Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory as on repeat as well. But anyway, so I was just, it was, I thought, the concept itself was, I thought was so cool, and it was my first Jules Verne, and it's just, it's mostly a lot, like, I think the people that would really enjoy this are people who are, into ocean biology, whatever. I don't know what the science term for that is, for those people studying the ocean and the sea creatures. But it's just, it was a lot of explaining stuff and talking about the different fish, and there wasn't a lot of thrills and excitement and adventure, yeah, they were exploring the ocean, but it's not, unless you are a fan of the ocean and the sea creatures, then it might not be as fun, they did have, like, a character that was a Canadian harpooner that was very, like, he was desperate to escape their situation, and he still knew, he was like, we're still prisoners, I don't care how nice this captain is, he still is holding us captive, and I want to go home, because unfortunately he didn't care about the ocean. This wasn't something important to him. He didn't appreciate it. And then there was just not, I felt like there wasn't a lot of danger. There was a hint of danger, but it wasn't anything like, not a lot happened. It did get exciting towards the last half of the book, a little bit, but it wasn't enough for me. Like, and I'm keeping it because, like all the other readers of the world, I think it's really pretty. The book is really pretty, and also, my nephews are kind of interested in the ocean and studying sea creatures. They're fans of the show Wild Kratts. So granted, taste can change as you get older. They're right now, the oldest is only 5 years old, so maybe, but if he's still interested in studying in the ocean and sea creatures, maybe he might find this entertaining, or he might not. I'll see, and who knows, he might end up needing to study this book. And like I said, I would probably, I don't know if I would need to start with the, like the illustrated classics edition, like an abridged version of it, although it's not that long. So actually, maybe I could read, one day when he's old enough, when middle school age or teenager, I'll give it to him, see what he thinks, if he's still interested. Or maybe I'll just leave it on the, our bookshelf, and one day when he visits, because my plan is to one day move close to my sister, then if he might pick it up. But anyway, I do love these World Classics editions. So, okay, so next question is, question number 4. That was number 3. What's the most disappointing read you read this year? Question number 4. What genre have you read the most of? And this is not actually a genre. So technically the genre I run most of is fantasy. I'm always reading mostly fantasy, but I look at classics as something separate from the other, the modern contemporary books, because the writing is a bit slightly different, so technically I've read classics more, but if you don't want to count it as a genre, which it's not a genre, it's a type of book, it's a category of book, but it's not a genre. I'm not saying it's a genre. It's just, I think I've read the mostly classics. A lot of older books have just, but again, if you want to be technical, then, fantasy technically is the one I've read the most of. Okay, so question number 5. Name a new favorite author, and this is also one I've stumbled on. A new favorite author that I've discovered this year. This is another one I've stumbled on as well. Speaking of favorite, and I feel like, with this one, new favorite author, I feel like I haven't read enough of the new authors I've read to really decide, oh, this is a favorite. I mean, I know there are some situations where you love a book so much that you're like, oh, this is now my new favorite author, even if you've only read one book by them. Like, for example, that happened with me with Donna Tartt, for instance. I love Secret History. But the funny thing is, though, the risk of that is that, and this is what happened with Donna Tartt, is so far I've only liked The Secret History. I have not read, I started to read The Goldfinch, and, the writing is beautiful and everything, but the story is so depressing, and then I did, and granted, I read reviews, and to be fair, I read the reviews, okay, so, it's a long book. So, unless I was excited to read it from the get-go, it's like, there shouldn't be any pressure to read something that, if you're not excited from the get-go. I mean, yeah, which maybe that makes me a little bit of a hypocrite, because I gotta admit, when someone doesn't like a book that I enjoy, whether it's a favorite or not, it's just one that I really love, if they don't like it and they're like, I DNF'd it at this point, or I read the first book, I didn't like it, Again, I do have a hypocritical response of, what, you have to read the next book, it gets better, like with, the Dark Tower series, the first book, a lot of people say it's Gunslinger is his weakest book, even King himself says that, but, it's like, oh, you need to read, and so I kind of understand people being like, if the first book doesn't pull me in, then I'm not going to keep going with it. So I guess I can't really complain, to people. It's just, I feel like we feel protective of our favorite books or books that we really like. And, if they don't like it, we can't help but feel like, no, you have to get another chance. Because we want other people to love the books that we love. So, but it's just, I haven't, so... Yeah, so I feel like it is tricky to say after reading the first book by an author, you're like, oh, this is not my favorite author. So I don't have any, like, ones that I just have to say, oh, this is not my new favorite. I mean, I've read a little bit more of Tolstoy. I have read 2 Jonathan Stroud books, and I liked him. So I just don't have an answer for this one. I feel like I can't really pick an answer. Okay, so question number 6. What's the most surprisingly good book you've read so far this year? And I said one that I read towards the end of the year. I mean not the end of it, towards more recently, and that is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Now, I had a mass market copy of this book before, and at the time, I was like, this is so boring, and I put it down, and I hadn't picked it up for a long time, so finally I was like, okay, I'm donating this. Well, I finally decided to give it another shot, because I like pirates, and, I got this edition of it, and I do think the size of the book kind of contributes to your liking of a book, which is shallow, I know, but I feel like that a lot of times, sometimes it's not as appealing to read a mass market copy. Well, I do know that there are some people that are like, they're so adorable, and, I kind of agree with Concede, the point of that, too, but, yeah, I love this book. This was so fun. I like Long John Silver's character, which I liked him in the adaptations I've seen of this as well, and he's charming, he's charismatic, and has a soft spot for the main character, Jim Hawkins, but he's also a rogue and a scoundrel, and a master manipulator. He knows how to get what he wants, and he's greedy. And now I do have the series Black Sails on DVD. So at some point I'm going to watch that, which is actually a prequel to this story. It's about Long John Silver and Captain Flint and Billy Bones and all the other pirates when they're young men before they meet Jim Hawkins and the whole treasure hunt and everything. It's also kind of funny too. You know, and it's not that long to read. You know, it's a really entertaining book, and you know, and I enjoyed it. I was very surprised and I loved it as much as I did. Although the one disappointing thing about the book that I have is that I was disappointed with the Jim Hawkins Long John Silver. It feels like in the adaptations that relationship is explored a lot more than in the book. Like it's like one chapter where Jim is like, I like him. He's my friend. He's not the evil pirate that Billy Bones was talking about in the beginning. And then next chapter, he overhears a conversation and realizes that Billy Bones is right. This is the pirate. I don't like him anymore. I can't trust him. But then, of course, there are moments on the island where they actually, you know, you can see he has a soft spot for Jim. Okay, so next question is, what are your favorites and most anticipated? What are your favorites and most anticipated 2001 releases? This was another one I struggled with too but this is more like us being lazy. So I didn't really struggle. I was just being lazy doing once again, research. And I didn't know if the mid-year freak attack, if I had saved that one, because that one also has a similar question to this. So I mostly picked books. I picked the two that I bought, two that were new releases that I just hadn't picked up yet. And then I picked up two that I don't have that I remember hearing about. First is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to King of Scars, and I was one of those people who actually loved King of Scars. You know, and there's sadly very few of us. And this is the Nikolai duology, but it also focuses heavily on Nina's story after the events of Six of Crows duology, and Zoya plays the main character in this one as well. And we kind of learn more about the Saints and learn the history of the small science as well in this book. And I'm excited to read it. I'm excited to read and see what happens. Like I said, I'm probably the only one who was cool with the ending of King of Scars. Like, I know a lot of people had problems with it because, you know, a certain character. But I am excited and I can't wait to read it. I just haven't picked it up yet, and I don't know if I'm going to read it in June or wait until... read it in July or wait until, you know, August, or maybe I might end up not getting to it. You know, because I'm weird. Like, I get excited to read a book, but then it's sitting on there on my shelf because there's so many other books that I'm in the middle of, and because I feel like I need to pick up and finish first. So there's that one, and then the other one is The Chosen and the Beautiful. So this is about the character of Jordan Baker from The Great Gatsby and her story, and her history and everything. And now that the Great Gatsby is, you know, free reign, anyone can do something with it. You know, it's no longer you have to get copyright permission. I think that's how it is. I think that's what it is now. So someone was able to write this book about Jordan Baker, and it does. She is an Asian character in this. So there's some representation, and we get her story. Oh, and she's also queer as well. So there's queer rep and there's Asian rep in this one. So I'm really excited to read this because I love The Great Gatsby, and it would be cool to get the story of a character that does not play a huge role in the story in the original classic. But I like this one kind of gives her a bigger role, I think. And just makes her a little more, you know, interesting and even sympathetic. Because, you know, the way Nick Carraway looks at her towards the end of the novel is she's no better than the rest of them. which, you know, if you think much, yeah, on the surface, it may seem like that, but a lot of times what I love a lot of authors doing is they explore these characters and we see their side of things, and we kind of understand that it's not that they don't care, it's just this world can be hard and cruel on people, and it's almost easier to make these decisions and to blend in with the crowd, and maybe you can judge someone for that, but I feel like you can't blame them for making it, because it's not an easy choice to make, to be the rebellious one, or be the one that goes against society, or, you know, stands up for what is right, because just because everyone else jumps off the bridge doesn't mean I have to. Like, not everyone can make that choice. It's not easy and not fair to judge someone for that. I'm actually reading The Odyssey right now, and that actually could be an answer for one of the other questions on this tag. But I'm reading it, and I read Madeline Miller's Circe, which I loved, and it's kind of, she did the same thing, where she took a character from the Odyssey that is seen as a villainous woman, a villainous, selfish woman, in Circe, her novel, Circe is actually not, you know, she's sympathetic, you know, and you feel bad for her, and you kind of understand her motives and why she made these bad decisions, these decisions that come off as evil to Odysseus. So I'm hoping this book does that for Jordan Baker, where we actually understand her. Although, not that she did anything seriously wrong. I mean, like, Circe turns Odysseus' crew into pigs. So, but in this, like, Jordan Baker doesn't do anything really seriously wrong. She just doesn't stand up to, you know, stand up against what's going on and what is done to Gatsby. You know, the way he's treated. But yeah, I am excited to read this. And then the two that I don't have, then I'm excited to the two anticipated releases I haven't got yet are The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, and then Gilded by Marissa Meyer. I don't remember off the top of my head at the moment what the Jasmine Throne, but I can definitely tell you about Gilded, because I was very excited when I heard about this one. You know, I just wanted to put in the Jasmine Throne because at the time when I first heard about that one, I was excited. I just do not remember the plot at the moment. But Gilded is about Rumpelstiltskin, a Rumpelstiltskin story, and I'm so excited because so far the only version of Rumpelstiltskin. Yes, I know there are adaptations. There is one particular series where they retell these fairy tales. One of the stories is The Prince and the Pauper, and then the first one is the Snow White story, or Snow White retelling, and then there's a Rumpelstiltskin one. But my issue with that one is it seems to go in the direction where, once again, Rumpelstiltskin is a creepy little imp with magical powers and, you know, and all that stuff. But one of the things about Once Upon a Time that I still kind of hold, you know, a soft spot for is I like how they handled Rumpelstiltskin in the beginning, before I'm talking about the beginning of the series in season 1. And so season 2, you know, I stopped watching after season 3. You know, my problem with that series is there were aspects of that series I still liked, but the rest of it I did not like. I have issues with that, but I don't want to go into that. So, but I liked what they did for Rumpelstiltskin at first, in the beginning, with his character, and I even kind of thought that even the addicted to magic thing and how he uses magic as a shield, as a defense mechanism in a way. I still kind of like that because I think it's fascinating. It makes him more sympathetic that he can't. It's a good way to look at the whole idea of magic as a drug, and it's like a really interesting metaphor. It kind of reminds me of also they did that on Buffy the TV show, where Willow was addicted to magic, and Willow and Rumple kind of are very similar. That version of Rumple, anyway. And they made him human. They made him seem very human. Like, he starts out as human. He has a son, and his whole motivation is to protect his son in that show. And then he finds romance with Belle. Like, they combine the Beauty and the Beast story with his story, and I loved that. I still can't, entirely forget that Once Upon a Time writers did that. You know, even though I take issue with those writers. So I am wanting that kind of story that is similar to what Once Upon a Time did. Obviously, they can't do the exact same thing. I don't want them to do the exact same thing. But making Rumple have a love interest. But I don't want it to go in the direction of, oh, he potentially could be with her, but then she ends up choosing the pretty boy, you know, the pretty handsome prince. You know, I don't want that. I want Rumpelstiltskin to get the girl. And which I'm sure Terry, if Terry, my friend Terry from Florida was watching, she would totally agree. You know, because especially she would agree because she is never a fan of the characters that are seen as the handsome pretty boy. Now some of them are the ones that she would consider handsome pretty boys that are just boring and self-righteous and good boys, you know, like the Captain America types. You know, how Steve Rogers is. He's, you know, always trying to do the right thing, and which, although I was watching Cinema Therapy where they talk about his character, it made me definitely, but I, even in, you know, throughout Avengers series, I was looking at him in a way that, like, I definitely like him more than Terry does, I think. But anyway, so I've been wanting that, so Gilded is, I think, gonna give me that, and I trust Marissa Meyer. I like except for I've not read her contemporary book because I'm just not a contemporary fan. When I'm reading, I want to read for escape. I don't want to read about the real world. Unless it's like a Dan Brown type book or something, like when he writes, you know, or romance or historical stuff, you know. But I don't want to read contemporary unless, I mean, I have read contemporary, like, you know, but it also is a little more, has something extra, like a fantasy element or something, or a sci-fi element, or, you know, there's a bit of a thriller aspect to it, you know, or mystery or something. But anyway, so yeah, I'm excited about that one as well because I'm hoping it will be kind of like what Once Upon a Time writers did with Rumple. Okay, so next is... Okay, question number 8 is what your next big priority for your reading? And basically, once again, I want to continue reading all the books that I've started and did not finish. Like, probably The Great Hunt is a major priority by Robert Jordan because they're now that everything is back and running. You know, I mean, I hope we don't get another delay because you know there is some stuff going on with COVID that making people nervous. But they started filming the Wheel of Time series. So I want to get a few more books under my belt from that series. I want to finally read one of my Ken Follett books. I got those when I first moved here. So Pillars of the Earth. I want to get to that one. And ideally, I would love to get to Fall of Giants, but I think I'm gonna start with Pillars of the Earth. I need to finally finish Way of Kings because I restarted that one this year. So I need to get past the page on page 614, I believe it is, where I stopped at last time because I don't want the same mistake. Although I'm already kind of doing that as it is. So that one, The Way of Kings, I need to get to. I want to, A Discovery of Witches, Strange the Dreamer. Those are some books I want to get to. I want to work on the whole fact that with series where I will read the first book and I will enjoy it, but then I will take forever to get through the rest of the series. And I think that started with, there was a time before I started making my money regularly with a job and everything, I wouldn't get to books in a series. It would take me a long time before I got the next book in a series because, you know, and also Books A Million or Borders, and then Books A Million was far away, so I couldn't get to it as many times as I wanted to. So I think that is kind of why nowadays, you know, I take forever to get through a series. So yeah, that's so basically all the books I've started in series I've started and bookmarked books. Okay, and then question number 9 is what's been your bookish highlight of the year so far? And I started finishing some of the tomes I started a while back, like Bleak House. Let's see, what are some other ones? the Stephen Erickson's book Gardens of the Moon, the first book, and the Malice of the Fallen series. I was very proud that I finished that one. That I read that one in a month. I'm looking at my books. Needful Things. I was very happy I finished that one. And Middlemarch is another one that was very which that actually applies to another answer. Yeah, so what my bookish highlights are probably that the books that are 500 plus pages, having finished those books, a few of those books this year. I was very happy about that. That made me proud. Oh, and also, was it this year or last year in 2020 where I listened to Lord of the Rings on audiobook. I finally was like, okay, I keep making myself feel guilty and getting angry at the invisible people who are getting me a hard time. So I finally listened to that. That might have been in... Actually, no, that was in 2020. So never mind, that doesn't count for this. But yeah. So my bookish highlights are basically finishing tomes. Finishing a lot of my tomes. A handful of my tomes. Okay, so question number 10. What books you started reading this year you still need to complete? Yes, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of books that I will feel inspired to pick up and read, and then I don't finish, like Ulysses, which that probably won't get finished. Count of Monte Cristo, that won't get finished this year, which I know I shouldn't say that, I shouldn't jinx myself, but, War and Peace, that won't get finished this year. And it's not even like the situation with Count of Monte Cristo where I'm so close to the end, but I probably still won't finish it. It's more like I still got a long way to go. Way of Kings, The Physician. Again, I'm looking at Discovering Witches, Strength the Dreamer. I'm looking at my books right now. And let's see. There's a lot. Ship of Magic. There's quite a bit. Clash of Kings. There's a lot. Yeah, so I have a lot that I need to finish. And then that was question number 10. Question number 11, what's the best classic book you read so far? I had trouble with this one because I've read a lot of classics, but I went ahead and just picked the one that's been on the brain right now, and that is Middlemarch by George Eliot. Now, I didn't start this year. I started this in like 2018, I think. But that last stretch of the book that I was, trying to get done before the family came was really great and amazing. This novel is like, it's not action-packed, but so intriguing. It looks at this English village of Middlemarch and these characters, this group of characters and their relationships, and particularly their romantic relationships. Even though most of them not all of them are romantic at all. They're just marriage. Let's get married because it makes sense. And we're supposedly compatible, and then you find out the hard way that maybe we're not so compatible. It's just about their lives. And also, it also has some political intrigue because it was during the Reform Bill. Which I don't know a lot about that. I mean to look that up. I haven't gotten around to it yet. And it's just, it's just so interesting watching their lives unfold and the drama and just, one of the main characters is Dorothea, and she is very much like a naive version of Elizabeth Bennet. Like, she's smart, and, in her mind, she thinks that she knows and she usually knows what she wants, but she is prone to make mistakes, and she is very hopeful and optimistic, but maybe has a bit of a naivete. Like, she assumes that she knows what's best, but then she learns the hard way that maybe she doesn't always know what's best. And then towards the end of the book, she makes a good decision for herself, but people still don't trust her. Her family still thinks that she, this decision is not good for her, not the best decision. And I also love Cecilia. Cecilia, she means well, and she's sweet and everything, but she tries too hard. And of course, I like how at the center of the story is these two sisters. Especially, I have a soft spot for sister stories because I am a sister. I also like the Lydgate's character. I mean, he could, and I also like the Ladislaw's character. He was awesome. It was just, it was so great. I enjoyed it. I'm sure there are a lot of people who reviewed this book that would be more succinct with talking about the book and really diving deep into it than I could. But, actually, I will be right back. I watched a video review on the book, and he shared some of his favorite quotes, and I like them too. They were great. It's a narrow mind which cannot look at a subject from various points of view. If we had a keen vision and feeling of all ordinary human life, it would be like hearing the grass grow and the squirrel's heartbeat, and we should die of that roar on the other side of silence. So I was writing on a table that had a line indent. So it's kind of hard to read sometimes. And this is one of my favorites. A prig is a fellow who is always making you a present of his opinions. I love that quote. Pride help us. And pride is not a bad thing when it only urges us to hide our own hurts, not to hurt others. That's a very telling quote, I think. I don't make myself disagreeable. It is you who finds me so disagreeable. It is a word that desires your feelings and not my describe. It is a word that describes your feelings and not my actions. That one's fun. I like that one too. It's a rather strong check to oneself's complacency to find how much of one's right doing depends on not being in the want of money. That's interesting. And I think that still kind of can apply today. It's just we're not, which I'm grateful for, we're not pushed to marry for money, but it can play a part. It does play a part in marriage. Even today. She was always trying to be what her husband wished, never able to repose on his delight in what she was. That was kind of sad. Dorothea, he said to himself, was forever enthroned in his soul. No other woman could sit higher than her footstool. I love that one too. Which that's great. What he talked about that one is how what annoys that booktuber I was watching was saying that what annoys him is that when you describe someone you're in love with in a book, they focus heavily on the physical appearance of the person, how beautiful they are physically. And this quote is about that, she's more than just physically beautiful. Like it doesn't focus on her physical appearance, it doesn't focus on her looks. And I agree. It's kind of nice to read a quote that doesn't, unfortunately, physical, but at the same time, I do agree that, I do believe that it's kind of hard to avoid physical attraction to someone. Unless you just can't physically see the person. But ideally, we want people to see us as more than just physically attractive. Especially if you're someone who's, not sexually attracted to people and asexual. If you're not focused on physical attraction, you just are not attracted to people physically. So yeah, I guess there are people that, so I guess I should really take back what I said, because there are people who are physically, but our appearance, now, it's not just about, although I should say this, it's not just about, romantic. It's also, attraction to someone as far as, wanting to hire them for a job. You know, your appearance says a lot about you professionally for professions as well. Okay, so the last one, of course, is the last question technically is to tag people, but I don't tag people, so feel free to do this tag if you want to do it, you know. So that is the mid-year check-in tag for 2001 for me. So, if you guys like this if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification below if you want to know when I post new videos. I will see if I can find the original video of this, or I don't know, I might not. I might just post the questions, maybe post someone's video of it, mid-year check-in tag, someone doing it, or I might just post, I might just post the questions. I don't know. I conflicted because it's an old tag. Cause like, do you keep giving credit to that person every time? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. It's just it's been around so long that, I think anyway. But well, I don't know. Maybe I'll find it. I probably should. I probably should post the original creator of the tag. But I will post their video in the description box below. And I hope you guys are having a good day and a good night whenever you're watching it or whenever you're watching this. And I hope you enjoyed your reading. All right, bye.